Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my video presentation. My name is Anik Pal. My ID FIR2865. Today I'm going to discuss about two companies. One is BHP Bilton and Seven Group Holdings. Before I start my video presentation, I would like to thank our honorable lecturer to give me a chance to present my assignment topics. For my next slide, I would like to overview of my presentation. Today I'm going to discuss about the two companies, then evolution of sources of funds, internally and externally generated funds, how their funds is provided, merits and shortcomings of sources of the funds, and their liabilities and the provisions under the ASB 137 and some references according to the ASB 137, categories of different type of assets they use on their companies, and measurement basis of assets, and finally the conclusion to wrap up the whole video presentation. So my next slide, I would like to discuss about the BHP Bilton, which is one of the main mining firms that are being operational in Australia. The organization has shaped in 2001, which is pretty new, after the effect of merger that occurred between Anglo-Dutch Bilton PLC and Australian Broken Hill Proprietary Company Limited, which is named as BHP. The next one is Seven Group Holdings, is a privately processed organization that works as a holding organization for interest of in communicating oil, gas, and advancement to contract the administration overwhelming the gear deals and so many others media. Their head office is in Sydney, New South Wales, and constructed roughly 4,950 individuals altogether. Two slides will discuss about evolution of sources of funds and how their funds are generated internally and externally. So Seven Group's holdings income per share is down 3.2% every year in spite of their solid offer value execution for more than 5 years. So it is difficult to contend that the income per share is the best measurement to pass judgment on the organization, as it may not be streamlined for benefit now. Since the changes of their sources of funds doesn't appear relate with the adjustment of the share value, it merits investigation different measurements. Now, how their funds are internally and externally generated. First of all, BHP are financial resources, including the acquiring the limit of other firms and the capacity of firm to create interior assets. Other than arranging, controlling, and coordination of framework are the most noteworthy assets, alongside the physical resources of their own, like type of gear, buildings, plants, and organizations, and the area of the organizations where there is other financial specialists. Likewise, they consider all the investor in return. For the Seven Groups holdings, the TSR is the course of most recent 5 years was 327%, which is the superior to anything offer value return referenced previously. The profits paid by the organization have in its way supported the all out of the investors' returns. For my next slide, I will discuss about the shortcomings and the sources of the other funds which both of the companies uses. Among couple of various resources, the organization of the affiliation needs to choose the correct resources for their growth and prosperity. With the help of right joining and cooperation, the affiliation can be prepared to profit outrageous accomplishments, whether the obvious unprofit resources could be affect their business. For in order to say that both BHP and Seven Group Holdings, they need to choose their sources of funds very wisely. and they use their resources very effective way to hold their business properly. In this sector, I'll discuss about the liabilities and the provisions under the ASB 137. What are the liabilities for the VHP and the Seven Holdings Group? Liabilities are the things when the company's expenses of the assets and how effectively these assets can be gotten from the market. With the assistance of these systems, the administration of the BHP Billiton needs to rely upon the assets for better health. The director is qualified to decide the expense of the assets and kept up the accessibility of assets, so the procedure should be possibly easy. In the event of administrations can't mastermind the assets from time to time, at the point of authoritative procedure can be endured. From the review of BHP Billiton, it is very well and guaranteed from the administration has very easy case of effectively kept up assets, so much issue could be happened. Provisions under the ASB 137, the applied structure has been hailed as a critical instrument and diminishing inconsistency and bringing higher corporate announced equality. The theoretical systems, which is be indicated in ASB 137, it is necessary to the basic substance in the yearly report must cash the potential commitment expected to emerge later on that is relied upon beyond their ability to do anything about. What are the references about ASB 137? So in this presentation, I'll show what are the references according to the ASB 137. ASB 137 and guarantees that the reasonable structure is agreed to both the letter and the sole hands, gathering the basic leadership by the patrons, the clients. ASB 137 doesn't for the most part apply to worker benefits, and these managed by ASB 119 employee benefits, but that as it may representative advantages might be named arrangement the critical position sheet where the either the sums or the planning of the things that come to installments and regard these commitments in divisions. Discuss various categories of assets for the BHP Billiton and SGI's holding group. So for this sector, they use two types of assets. One is non-current assets and other one is non-current assets. For the current assets for BHP, they use various tax assets, current tax assets, inventories, financial assets, trade and other receivables. And for non-current assets, they use cash and cash equivalents and others. On the other hand, the non-current assets include deferred tax assets, investment accounted for using the equity method, intangible assets, property, plant and equipment, inventories, financial assets, trade and other receivables and others. For the seven group holdings balance sheets comprises two categories, that is for the non-current assets. We can derive the financial instruments, intangible assets, exploration and evaluation of other assets, producing and development assets, property, plant and equipment. From the basis of those assets, we can measure the group balance successfully due to it, which impact conversion, scale developments and excellent things, which was 36% for BHP, and the balanced viable assessment rate is 30%, which is fundamentally because the benefits is being liable to basis the expenses more than 30%, and for the balance sheet in the seven groups holdings, which is 33 to 38% for their 2020 next year budget. To wrap up the presentation, I would like to say, in conclusion, to meet the budget need for the organization, BHP Billiton is depending on both value and the long haul obligation and as their resources. To the long expression of obligation of organization, it has been explained reliably over the time for the most recent 5 years, which most recent 5 years is still again for the seven groups holdings. This pattern is their net benefit profit gives their gainfulness for the organizations and is generally looked after the proportion by financial specialists which are searching for the profits and returns. To finish my presentation, I would like to show all the slides and the PowerPoint presentations to my next category.